Okay, again, part 1, 2, 3. We'll get into the reading now. Okay, if you've chosen part number 1 today, I'm just going to spread these out now. You have the Raven Spirit with Truth, card number 32. Just intuitively, this one always gets me thinking about like messengers, like messages and messengers in regards to like, what am I hearing? What am I taking in? Is that truth? Is that my truth? If it's not my truth, that doesn't mean I need to defend anything, right? People are just speaking their truth. So it's okay to speak your truth. It's okay also for other people to speak their truth. If that is their truth, then that's their truth. You don't have to buy into it. But you'd also, someone else's truth isn't an attack against yours, if that makes sense. Alright, so it says here, as you look up, you see a raven peering at you from a branch. It feels like he's gazing straight into your soul. He swoops down and lands on your hand. Amazingly, he begins to talk, telling you the deeper truths of your life. He reminds you to focus on what's important and admonishes you to make choices in life that honor your truth. The soul loves the truth. Find your truth, speak your truth, live your truth. Be fearless in your journey, follow your inner guidance, let go of what is not authentic and sincere in life. Be a shining example for truth, of truth for others. Really nice. It's a really nice card. It's a good reminder too, so we can get caught up in drama, especially on this planet. Welcome in, Pixel. Welcome, Malcolm. Alright, if you chose pile number 2, you have a Moonlight Enchantment with Magic. Very cool. Got the little wolf there howling at the moon. I feel like this is feeling into the magic within, basically. Also, big moon, we are in the full moon right now, or it's like soon, or it has passed, I can't remember, but it's like in this moment there's a full moon. The energy of the full moon sticks around for a few days anyway. Alright, so I'm going to read this one here. It says here, the lingering howl of a wolf weaves its way through the night air. The brightness of the full moon bathes the entire forest with a silvery light. Fairies and elves and spirits of fauna and flora arise for a joyous night of celebration. The forest is alight with glee. It says, believe in magic. You are being given powerful magical messages from spirit. Take time to listen. Allow the luminescent, receptive energy of the moon to activate your creativity. You receive mystical messages, and you are a spiritual messenger for others. I do like how her story always touches on this is for you, and is also to help you with connections as well. They all kind of play that part. So really nice message here. Okay, and if you've chose pile number 3, you have the Maple Spirit with Generosity. Probably definitely touching now on... It's interesting, I just looked. It's interesting it's 32 and 23. I always like it when it's like, 3223 kind of thing. Numbers, these two. Anyway. Lost my train of thought with that one. Generosity generally talks to support, what can you do to help others. So let's have a look at this one. Welcome, welcome. Alright, it says here, beneath the large boughs of the maple tree, animals are invited to rest. At any time, you might see a doe and her fawn curled in the midday shade. Squirrels scamper up the trunk and dash from limb to limb. A rabbit stops to sniff the air. Creatures large and small are drawn to take refuge in the maple's shade. It says here, be open to receive the bounty of the universe. At the same time, be generous with others and with yourself. A warmth of spirit radiates from you. Share from your heart and receive with an open heart, and success will bloom. It's like, be kind to others, be kind to yourself. Yeah, it's a really cool card. These are nice cards. This is the Sacred Forest by Denise Lynn. Okay, again, just to finish up, pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, a message from the moon to you, but see it as more of how you can utilize the energy of the full moon in this moment in your life. Okay, let's get into it. Finding a place to put the cards. Okay. This is how I'm going to sort it out today. Okay, let's take a look at the reading. So if you chose pile 1 for your message, how can you utilize this energy or work with the energy of the full moon at the moment? Let's take a look. Ooh, you've got Ouroboros. Interesting. This is infinity, eternal, past life. Definitely able to utilize this energy in a way to sort out something either from a past life or even in this life. You know how sometimes people say our past life is that was in a past life when it was like in the past, even though it was this life, right? That's kind of the energy. Definitely some kind of dregs or something that can be fully let go of. We'll have a look at what that may be. Could be something that was inherited from a past life as well. When I say inherited, it's not like something that needed to be taken, it's just like something that did come across that you kind of were holding on to. So it's actually a really good time. You've got study with investigate thoroughly. Interesting. And you've got distance. Interesting. There's a few things with this. It could be like the connection, or if this is about a relationship or some kind of connection, like this moon is shining a light on. Do you need to keep holding on to this? Why? How is it purposeful to hold on to whatever this is about? That's just like one side of it, the story. Another part is like, sometimes when we study thoroughly, like we go into the depths, we can get caught up in the small stuff. And then if we don't look at the small stuff, we're just looking at the overview, when we can miss the middle part, right? The intricate details that need to be looked at a certain time. So it's trying to find some kind of balance with that, if that makes sense. However, the study card is also something that needs to be taken step by step. It's not just like a one dump and then it's done kind of thing. And when I say dump, I mean like you can't just like let go of everything and then it's all over. It's not like a quick fix. There's no quick pill or quick quick thing. This could be actually a beginning of something, of an untangling of something, an untangling of like a feeling or an old story, or just something that no longer serves you. So yeah, take your time with it, especially if it's the goal seems way too far away. It's like, that's because you just need to step towards it. You've got potential. Yeah, I think this will be a step by step kind of race. There's no rush with this. The potential is like how this mountain's looking in the background. Like it takes time to overcome it. When you look at it as a whole, it can be like, well, this is a huge task. And it's like, yeah, but when you're climbing up the mountain, you're not worried about the top. You're worried about like, or you're focused on each step. So definitely an interesting one. And this is in the potential. Sorry, this is in the middle. The potential's in the middle. And potential is just like opportunity, faith and trust in self. Interesting. It's very interesting. I have the Pineal Pioneer with Ace of Activations. This is also comes through with the Ace of Swords. It's interesting here because there's like this matrix kind of banding in the background. Almost like the flower of life kind of symbol, right? Symbolism. Very interesting. Pineal, we know, is kind of like the third eye. So this is about conceptualizing and envisioning as well. You can create what you want. It's not something that just comes and is like snap and it's done. This is like, maybe this is like a lifelong kind of journey, specific to you, Power 1. And yeah, we'll have a look at more, but no, I'll leave it. I was going to say something else, but I think we'll just leave it until I've flipped all the cards. Alright, and you also have the Six of Activations, Whispers of the Universe. I think the whispers in here, it's kind of like you're envisioning it. Why are you envisioning it? You're getting this information from Source, from Universe. Six of Activations, Swords again, kind of like touches in on swords. However, I kind of read these more in the middle of, instead of like hardcore tarot or hardcore like oracle, these kind of like a blend. So Six of Swords is that one where they're on the boat and they're leaving difficult situation and going to the next kind of like place and like away from it. But I do like that it's called Whispers of the Universe. It's kind of like, instead of getting a huge amount of information all at once, especially with the study card, it's starting to weed through the stuff that doesn't serve you, the stuff you no longer need to like focus so heavy on. So be mindful of this. Okay. And when I say stuff, I just mean like information. If things are popping up for you that you're like, why am I thinking about that? I've moved beyond that. There might be something there. It might not be something that you just need to like let go of. It might be just something you need to remind yourself of where you've come from to where you are so that it can motivate you. You have the solar eclipse with creation, intention, and potential. So you're getting another potential message here too. This is like a very good time. It's almost like a very powerful time, if you want to say. Like a very strong time to like move beyond, release something, let go of fear, stopping you from doing what you have been kind of wanting to work on or do. It's also about like, with the study, it's almost like being real with this too, like being very honest with yourself about this. I think that'll help. It's kind of difficult if this is like a past life thing, but I feel like now that we've got into all the cards, well, most of them, I need to grab this one. It's not more, but it's like, it does feel like it's also transitioned to this life. So it would have played out in some way in your past. All right, and then we have the waning gibbous moon with harvest, reception, and gratitude. Yeah, I think this is just like a good time to be able to move some stuff. Now, it could be with many different things. I think with the distance, it could be with yourself and your higher self. It could be with like, to actually distance yourself from this past life habit, or this like life after life habit that has habitually tapped into each life, especially if it doesn't serve. If it's not real, like it might have been serving a lot of lives, especially if it was like, for example, like you know, hiding away some of your power because that would cause you to be burnt at the stake, you know, that kind of stuff, or you know, be secretive about certain things because you could be thrown into a dungeon or whatever, you know what I mean, like that kind of thing. But in this lifetime, I feel like things, or like the collective has shifted from wherever it was, and so now it's time to like kind of embrace it and let it through. Do like harvest. Does feel like there'll be some benefit from this. It's not just a release. If that's how this feels for you, it's also a gain. Like there's like kind of like you clear out the storage closet so you can fill it up with things that you actually utilize instead of the things that you just have. But yeah, no rush. It takes time to close distance. It also takes time to learn and study things, right? So this is a slowly process. Even this movement card isn't quick. It's like thoughtful and mindful and slow. Okay, I think that's it for you, pile number 1. How to utilize this energy. Yeah, I would just utilize it to clear some stuff that stops me from doing the things that I want to do. Fear is not going to help you with anything in this lifetime, really. I don't think fear helps at all. Even if it's like being scared of like the tiger in your room, right, that could eat you. Being scared of it's not going to help. What's going to help is how quickly can I get to the door? You know what I mean? Or like get out of here. Utilize that and channel it into something that helps. The fear or the shock or whatever needs to be like seen to alert, to like awaken the body to like move, right? If there's the tiger in the room, for example. Okay. Hopefully there's no tigers in anyone's room. I love this card though. Look at that. Interesting card. Infinity Eternal. Yeah, certain things, I mean, your soul's eternal, right? But you don't have to hold on to some of the old stuff eternally. Okay. Okie dokie. Set up for pile number 2. Do do do. Do do do. Okay, pile number 2, here is your message about working with the energies of this full moon. You've got Greys, tall, with utilitarian, organized, and intimidating. Okay, I can already kind of tell exactly where this is going. You can kind of see here, there's like aliens or humanoid type people in test tube type things. This looks like a human getting potentially like inspected, right? Or like probed, as they say. This just makes me think of like, especially if you're consuming a lot of TV or a lot of negative media or energy around you or something like that, this is being mindful of this, because it'll start to spiral you or drag down your frequency really, really heavily. So it's a good opportunity to release some of this stuff. It's this worrying about what's happening in other countries around the world, this, that, oh, the whole world's terrible type thing. I mean, people were saying that all the way back in like Plato times, right? Of like everything's terrible type things. I mean, the stuff is just constantly being recycled with certain people, and you don't have to buy into it. So yeah, interesting card to come out first. Nice. You've got the starting point, the beginning, and the end. Similar to the death card, right? This is an opportunity to cut off something that really doesn't serve, that doesn't even need to be in your... this didn't come, like the last reading was coming from like a past life. This isn't coming from a past life. This is coming from and being accepted by you, essentially, with whatever you've experienced. And some of it, teaches you to help, or like is helpful, is what I mean. And some of it is really not. So definitely to pay attention to that. This is a good opportunity to clear it so you can focus on what's really important and get out of this old, like, just nonsense, really. You've also got Star card, focus on your dreams, let the shadows kind of like turn into something that pushes you and motivates you. It's kind of like when horrible kind of decisions get made for the collective, right? A government, a group, whatever, kind of put out something, you can utilize that instead of being like, what was me, or like, this is terrible, or this is like, what can I do? I can't do anything. Instead of getting like further and further down that kind of path, utilize it and be like, okay, I know this is kind of happening. What can I do to like help at least myself or the people around me, or support the people around me? Because that's really where the focus needs to be. Star card coming through is like a little bit of Six of Wands energy of like focusing the energy inward, so you can let it radiate outwards, just so you're not passing on this kind of like these feelings or these traps that are coming through. Interesting. Right in the middle, it's about freedom. You can kind of free your mind from all this stuff that's happening. It's not going to change this stuff necessarily, but passing it on or talking about it or staying in that energy is just keeping your frequency low. So it's up to you, obviously, but you have a real opportunity to. This is seems like the moon has really good energy at the moment to be able to move a lot of stuff. Normally it's just like, to me it's just like, oh yeah, shift some things, right? But this is like shift a lot of things. So really, really interesting. Okay. You also have the Chariot with dimensional shifts of the crystalline. I think there's like, when I say they, I've been recently listening to Veda Austin with her water freezing technique thing. She pretty much has like water, she puts either pictures or projects like a feeling or something into the water, and she'll freeze it and it'll come up with shapes. Sometimes it'll come up with images, all this kind of stuff. So it's really interesting. And there's like talk in spiritual like paths of going into a crystalline form, like a water crystalline type form, which is kind of like, I guess like light body. The reason why I wanted to talk about that is kind of like, this is the more important stuff to focus on. How can I like heal stuff within me, right? How can I heal the things around me? How can I help? And generally it does start within. You can't do it all outwardly if you haven't worked inwardly. People will try though, of course, and that will be like a temporary plaster, but yeah, you can make some movement. And then the freedom with the Chariot, it's just like that transformation. You can see here, there's a lot of symbols of transformative, evolutionary type insects, which is dragonflies coming from the water out into the air, butterflies and moths going from a chrysalis or a cocoon into, you know, a flying insect. So yeah, utilize that energy for sure. I do like this Woodland Elf, Sage of Earth Guardians. This doesn't really feel like the normal King of Pentacles that it would relate to. I think this is like getting back to your true nature, what's really true for you. The world and the environment doesn't have to dictate who you are. So it's a really good opportunity to get back centered, I would say. Get back to what's important. Whether that's going out into nature, touching grass, like, you know, with bare feet, whatever you have to do. But yeah, get out of this vibration. It's not like you have to run away. It kind of feels like just turn off the TV, get away from the phone for a while, like be disciplined, with that. It says here organized, right? It's like you kind of have to be a little bit more disciplined or organized with how your energy is being consumed in time. Interesting, it's full moon, but you've also got new moon, and this kind of feels really true. This full moon has more energy, or like more kind of like frequency, power, whatever you want to say, than just what you would assume is a full moon, which is like the release aspect. With like this ending beginning, it's like a start as well. So it's kind of got like this new moon energy. Creation, intention, and potential, very similar to the other card that was in the other pile. I think it had the same card like messages, so that's really interesting. Welcome in, Discator. Welcome. And you've got the first house, and I think this just tails back to you have to work on you first. This also has Aries highlighted, and when I was shuffling, Aries flipped out. which is like the trailblazer, right, type energy. You can really start making some movement and getting away from the things that don't serve. You've got a lot of stuff to like not work on, but just like there's a lot more important things to like look at in your life than whatever is being projected from externally. Okay, interesting. This is your ascended, right? First house is your ascended. Okay. Just gonna see if there's anything else. Yeah, I feel like these two are great cards for being in the middle. The Star and Freedom. It's like there's so much more important things that you can be focusing on, which will kind of free you, will help you feel still connected to the group, but not following, being more like focusing on your own individual path and how that relates internally, but also externally. Okay, that's enough for this one. How to, another very cool reading. I can see why there's so many cards coming through today. I'll try to actually put this one up maybe a little earlier. We'll see. All right, in pile 3, a message for the full moon that's happening. How can you utilize or work with the energies of this full moon? Okay. Alright, so shows pile 3, you have card number 2, Alpha Centurions with foresight. I was going to say forecast. Foresight, planning, and strategy. Interesting. Kind of feels like light work, I guess. Light work kind of energy. If not, that's fine. It could be just like actually something that you want to get done that you've kind of been either sitting on, like sitting on your hands, sitting on, or just like waiting for right timing. Either or, it doesn't matter too much. This is like an opportunity to make some headway in this, even if it is just like the foundation work, or just like the idea being sent out there. It's actually reminding me of like someone was talking about this, and I completely agreed. It was like someone was talking about you know, I think they were talking about cryptocurrency, so we'll just kind of touch on that. But it's like, you know, will this be what changes? Like, will this work, or will we go back to the standard currency? Like, what's going to work? Like, what's the right path, right? And he said like it doesn't actually matter. It's just the fact that it's out there that's the success, because it starts to challenge and starts to shift people's minds that there's other possibilities than just this currency. It's like, you know, if there was no what is it, when people, I think back in the day people said sprinters couldn't beat 10 seconds for the 100 meters, right? And so no one beat it, like no one could overcome it, and then someone did overcome it, and then once they overcome that limitation, everyone else kind of like was able to do it as well. Well, not everyone, I couldn't do it, but you know what I mean? Like there was more and more people being able to break that perceived limit. I think they've done tests with ticks, I think, or like jumping, like fleas. I think it was fleas. Anyway, you know, they had like a lid on it, so they could jump really high. They had like a lid, then they only would jump to not bump their heads, right, or bump. They jumped that height, and then generations even after they bred the ticks, I guess, or the fleas, and so they took the lid off, and then they still, after time, they would think that was their perceived limit. They could actually jump out now, but they wouldn't, because I don't know, they just had like a culture of like not being able to go past that limit. So this is sometimes like breaking limits, and for whatever reason I feel like that's part of your reading. Don't be afraid to break limits, even if it's going to piss people off. If it's not like, as long as that's not your purpose, is to upset people, right? It's just to speak freely or go beyond. You got follow the fun, right? This doesn't have to be super serious, which is kind of funny because they're playing chess here, which is kind of like a serious game, right? So it's kind of like clearing that and just finding your own path with it. You don't have to follow any set rules. And you've got release, makes a lot of sense with the full moon, but it does say here, make the unseen seen, set it free. So I guess I'm doubling down with the message that I've already said. It's kind of like, be free to break through some of those patterns, those limits. Don't hold yourself back just because of perceived limits, even your own perceived or other people's, or just culturally a collective, right? You can actually move beyond that. Welcome in, Fudgy Muffin. Flexibility, again. This is, again, about pushing boundaries and pushing limits. Don't be afraid to bend, like, all the way. You're not going to actually snap. You'll know if it feels wrong because you'll start to pull back naturally. So it's not, this isn't something that's going to break you. It's something that's going to, like, show how bendy you are, I guess, or how much you can kind of flow. All right, you have the wings of integrity with the sevens of activations. I mean, it just keeps coming through. Seven of activations, like the seven of swords. Wings of integrity, which is talking about who we are. It's not like you're being fake or anything. It's just like there's something else that can come through. I mean, it's very, very clear here without, like I was talking about that in this card without all these, and now all the cards are just pretty much like, you know, preaching to the choir kind of thing. So it's like, yeah, this is an opportunity. Instead of being in hiding, be forward. Also got the waterfall with the priestess of earth guardians. Very nice. You've got like the symbol here of transformation in the crown kind of area, and in the throat area we've got balance, or the push and pull, kind of yin and yang with these koi fish. It's just very interesting. Priestess of Earth Guardian, what do I want to say about her? Kind of feels more like priestess than queen. Traditionally this would be the Queen of Pentacles, but it does have that energy of being able to have you have enough to be able to do what you need to do. So, you know, it's not a time of like, oh, but I don't have this, I need that. If that's true, then now it's time to like start going get that, if that's true. If it's not, then, you know, you can do it. Interesting, you've got Capricorn, which this is what if you follow, what do you call it? I remember. If you follow Tropical, this is what the full moon's in. This is also known as a blue moon because the last full moon was in Capricorn, so it's Capricorn last full moon. This full moon's also Capricorn, and it's coming through here, so it's just doubling down on what you can do. This tenacious energy. This isn't like going forward with like, this is an Aries energy, you know how they're just kind of like ramming through, do now, think later. This is someone who's intelligent, right? Someone who is knowing, very knowing, but also sometimes they can get stuck in the head, and this isn't about staying in the head, this is about moving forward on the earth. So pushing boundaries. Interesting Chirons coming through. The wounded healer, right? I think this is in retrograde at the moment. So this could be something that's actually part of your like contract when you came down here, to yourself, from your like earthly self to your soul self. Anyway, that's interesting. So you've got core wounds, vulnerability, and potential through pain. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like necessarily painful. It might be hard, as in a difficult choice, but it's like very obvious, and it doesn't have to be so serious. But I think you might actually clear some stuff that's hung around from the past. And the funny thing is, it doesn't have to be like painful. It can also actually be kind of enjoyable. It's almost like getting back in touch with the inner child, which could have been kind of like abused in the past. But through it, instead of like focusing on what happened or like, specifically, it's just like letting it out. What do you do? Go to an adventure or a park or something like that, just actually have fun with this one. Stop trying to make excuses for things as well with this Wings of Integrity. Okay, interesting. Okay, so very interesting. Interesting pile number 3. But yeah, a lot of high energy for the moon. Not a huge amount of cards for a collective reading. But this is going to be just a reading for the collective, on the collective, what's happening in the collective, how are things going. So let's have a look. We've got Armadillo Spirit, set healthy boundaries. I think this is good for everybody that's out there that have obviously good healthy boundaries. There are things with relationships I feel like people are starting to like push and pull with, or things are shaking up, and that's when people get triggered into setting healthy boundaries. Because if you don't have healthy boundaries, right, things will trigger to look at those. It'll get worse and worse as long as we keep ignoring it, but at least it's starting to be looked at. And this kind of like plays into one of the pile readings with removing social media or like certain media that we get stuck into. It's like sometimes your healthy boundaries have to be from you, to you, about you. Ooh, okay. White Raven Spirit, love this one. Card number 66. Trust in the magic. Nice. This is also about trusting in self as well, and the ability to be able to create not just the life you want, but also to remove the stuff that you don't need to hold on to, that you can actually move beyond limitations. So this is really good. The boundaries aren't limits, right? They're just like ever-evolving structure, let's say, or safety, security net. Love this. You got Joan of Arc, Sacred Activist. It says, do not be afraid, stand up for what you believe. I feel like this is really cool with these two cards. I feel like one of those piles is very much this reading. Trust in the magic and don't be afraid to stand up for your beliefs. Joan of Arc, very cool. It also ties quite well with set healthy boundaries. And actually, speak truth to them when they're crossed or like marked over. Don't judge it. Don't judge the person if there's someone else is crossing it. Just let it be known of like your boundaries. That's it. And you've also got Green Tara with Healing Light. It says wellness unfolding. Know that healing is a journey. Yeah, I would say you're not going to be perfect at everything all the time, right? Not supposed to be. You're just here to learn and grow. That's why you're here. Okay. You've got the Ten of Swords, let go, let go. So I think a lot of people, even this, like with the screen getting smashed here, I think this is a good healthy boundary, is to not break your phone exactly, but have boundaries with social media and comments on social media, or really buying into certain things that are happening on there. I think even people are buying into calling out, this is fake, this is, that is fake, and that kind of thing. And I think, sure, that might be fine, but it gets to the point where things are obviously just like a skit, right? Or something like that. Doesn't mean it's fake. Like, you can learn and get something from it. It's kind of like going and watching a movie at the theater, or like the theater, the picture theater, and seeing, I don't know, Marvel comic or something on there, like, what's that? Wolverine and Deadpool are coming up and being like, this is fake, they're not real, kind of thing. It's like, calm down, you know what I mean? Like, settle. There's always teaching and learning in fantasy and fiction anyway. Interesting. That's an interesting one. I've got Knight of Wands. There's more important things to focus on that actually are part of your growth or path. So that's interesting for the collective. I think the collective are actually getting their heads screwed on properly. Might not look like it, but even if we're given like really crazy ideas that people are doing or looking at or focusing on, they probably were in the past. It's just now it's given a voice through ideas, media, that kind of stuff. Start to turn those things off and focus on the things that give you life, right? Creative abundance. Like there's all that social media and all that other stuff that's on there. You can utilize those to actually create things. I use Canva to create thumbnails and stuff like that, right? You know what I mean? There's like programs and things to help. Also, obviously, with YouTube and Twitch, I'm able to create something, put it out there. So if you want to see something, go find those things that you want to see. If that's important, or actually what do you really want to start doing and creating. Nice. I like this because there's also starting to care about your own feelings and emotions instead of criticizing your own feelings and emotions. You might start seeing a lot more of people that we would portray as struggling but living their life truthfully and like fully, and that should be motivation to also do incline. It's kind of like I don't know, someone who has like Down syndrome or cerebral palsy, right? And they're showing their life and what they're doing and stuff like that, and it's like, you know, that can be kind of inspiring, but also just living life, right? We don't have to like we can also live our lives, that kind of thing. So I think a lot of things like that might be coming through. This is obviously a good message of healing is a journey, not just like a destination. It's like a whole path. If that's what your like big part of your goal is in this lifetime, and it helps you start to see what you can utilize or do and use in this world. So it's an interesting one. I feel like this is good for the collective to kind of go through and process. There's going to be people finding this really helpful and then going into like extra, right? Starting to cut people down before they've even spoken. And that's where it needs to be reined back. But also the people that aren't standing up for themselves to start doing that is the highlight I feel here. And same with here. Sometimes it can be overdone with like, everyone must know my pain and then kind of pity me type thing, or turning it into just your own power instead of victimhood. So very interesting. I like this for the collective. They kind of need it. An interesting one. Okay, that's your collectives. We'll get onto the rods because I feel like that's what everyone's waiting for. The childish one for Captain. Alright. 1, 2, 3, a message of compassion. I'll clear the cards in a sec. It's like gonna hiccup, but then burped. Since you all needed to know that. Look out! I've been munching away on this one. I'm almost done with my lip balm. It's kind of gross that you put your finger into it though. But I guess that's just what you do. Anyway. Okay. Oops. The little card. I'll put it on top. Alright, Power 1 message regarding compassion. Let's do it like this, spread them out nicely. Nicely. Okay, your first card. You have the Squire and Beginner's Sword. This is practice, new beginnings, and journey. Interesting. It's kind of like is feeling like focus on the new, the fresh, the good, that kind of stuff. To like feel open, I guess. I know it's talking about compassion, but like, it's just like feeling open will help you like focus on your own path and your own journey rather than anyone else's kind of stories and what's going on there. Ooh, you've also got the Wheel of Fortune. Very nice. Things are going to kind of like not just improve or anything like that, but just like new kind of like fresh energy. This feels like fresh because it's like unknown, right? What the wheel falls on. So it's like there's like a revamp or something. And you've also got the Page of Wands. Definitely something you're interested in. This kind of feels like the new ideas kind of energy of the Page of Swords. But it's like foundations and grounding. So yeah, it's so much better. I guess it's almost like life is so much better, and you feel more into the energy of compassion when you're focusing on bringing in the new, what like gives you life and light in the world. So that's pretty cool. You also have the Michael and Faith card, Spiritual Calling, coming through. So Divine Protection, Breakthrough Moment. Nice. Yeah, I think you've overcome something as well, or gotten over a hurdle, especially in regards to like connections or relationships, because this is like the twin flame of each other, right? Or the like counterpart. So that is good. Yeah, embracing. Okay, so to be in this energy, I think you actually, it's funny because it's kind of like you do a song and a dance and that helps you with maths. And it's like, well, how does that relate? But it's like something has shifted and changed, and like compassionate wise, when you start to be more open with others and yourself, other people can share more energy through you. Like, you know, you can utilize like more of the energy around you in life. So very interesting. The Embrace card is like, wait and see what happens, wait to see what comes through. You'll see a different world than what you thought it was in the first place. So yeah, compassion is actually huge in this particular reading. If you chose this pile, it's like it's part of your story to forgive and to progress and move on with like your path is how it feels, especially in this moment, especially. Nice, you're on a guided path, so you're in like a good stage. Okay, that's basically it. I love that phone tarot. This one? Yeah, this is the real talk tarot. I got this super cheap because they had it at a discount shop, and I was like, well, I'm gonna get it because it's just sitting there by itself. I'm gonna get it. But yeah, it was only like $7, which in America is like $5. All right, so that's pile. Not that the price really matters, but it was just funny that it like was sitting there. All right, so that's you, pile number 1. Yeah, it looks really good, honestly. It looks like you've already done what you've needed to do at this moment. La 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 la. The song is so funny. It's called Right Love, but it's like maybe in another life. All right, pile 2. Your message of compassion. So you have the Chimera and the Alpha Omega with pathway, cycles, and truth. Okay, very interesting, kind of very deep with this card, because this is kind of like pathways, right? Like with the heads, the different heads of the Chimera, it's like, do I go this way, this way, this way? And the story. So it's like you're actually on part of your path, but it's like a section where you get to decide where you go. Now we are just talking really focusing in on compassion, but to be kind of like fair and just to others in a way, or like at least bring that truth through, is by being honest and fair and just to yourself. So that's really important at the moment. You've got the Nine of Cups, another nice card coming through at the first kind of like tower. You know, the last one was the Wheel of Fortune. You got the Nine of Cups. Kind of like this is a dream come true type thing, but compassion is super important here because it kind of really does dictate where you shift in what direction. Yeah, it's interesting. You've got the Ace of Cups as well, so you've got a lot of like emotional energy coming through with compassion. Learning to master compassion. Can you stop screaming in my ear for a second? Okay. Sorry, it was like it was freaking angels. But anyway, you've got the Ace of Cups coming through, so it's like you know, connections, relationships, emotions, and compassion is really, really, really a big kind of like player in your story. I also have Horus here with Manifestation Vortex. It says here, belief makes manifest, thoughts attract and create. So this is why it's important, because if you're in like a challenging time and you're focusing more on the negative, you're going to keep attracting that and creating that reality. So by mastering compassion, or at least like trying to always be in a compassionate heart, not always easy, right? But you'll start to see the benefits of that. You'll start to create like, you'll start to see the dreams be created, if that makes sense. So interesting. So what do we say to that? Release. Release these old thoughts and feelings, especially with this card. It'll help you, instead of feel like you're always at certain crossroads, it'll be just like so easy because you'll know the right path, because it'll be very clear. It's the one that doesn't come with revenge, doesn't come with like going through a lesson you've already learned. It just comes with like fairness and justification, I would say, where you get to like relax, you get to do and have the nice things in life that you want. Yeah, I'd say if you chose pile 2, relationships super important in your life. Let go of anything that doesn't serve, because it will amplify and manifest if you, whether you want it or not. It's like where your mind sits, manifests it. Can't believe your kids are still up at 1 a.m. The rods lied. They said they'd be asleep. All right, pile number 3. Here is your reading. Hopefully that one helped. It was really interesting as well. There's lots of like interesting readings. I just want to move them there because the light gets too reflective off these cards because they're glossy. Gloss is good because they last longer, but matte is better for streaming because the light doesn't like reflect so much off them. And also these ones last okay, like they're fine. Alright. So if you chose pile 3 for compassion, you have carbuncle, discovery, unearthing, unknown. Compassion is definitely something that, I think compassion is something for everyone in all these piles, right? It's very important to your path. But having to go deep and down into the like dirt and stuff like that and unearth certain things has been like part of the story. Maybe going through different challenges as well, deep, like real deep kind of ones, with what that means. So you might have fluxed with that, especially as a child, because that's kind of how this one's coming through. And now it's a time of like unleashing or just like allowing or flowing. Alright, you've got the 5 of Wands. Yeah. It's tough. It's a tough kind of situation. Not too hard. Like, it's not like they're actually fighting here. They're just thinking. It's kind of like this idea, this person has this idea, this one has this, and it's kind of like, why is there so many like different opinions? And I guess that's something you've had to kind of like overcome or get used to, is that there's lots of different varieties and ideas, and just because they have different ideas to you doesn't mean your idea is invalid or they're invalidating it. They just have different ideas. Interesting. And also the Knight of Pentacles. This has just got like a text that says, meet me at 2 o'clock. I have good news, and then it's got horse pictures on it, because I guess because it's a knight. I don't have too much to say about this, but this is like a slow, steady kind of wins the race when it comes to compassion and understanding it. It's like you had to go through many different kind of roundabout ways to get there. I would say if this is more for you at the moment, dig deep. Don't let, especially this good kind of vibe or energy, sit. You've got Hanuman, the kind of like, he's like a god, comes across as like a monkey, looks like a monkey sometimes, which I guess wise he kind of does, right, with tail. This says devoted warrior, says let God's love hold you in strength. Yeah, your capacity for compassion and love is high with this card coming through. So it's like by going through to the depths or the challenges right here, the difficulties, you get to really appreciate what true compassion is. He's fun. Yeah, he does feel like fun energy. I've listened to a couple of like stories with him in it, and he's just like, he just pops in, pretends to be something else, and just watches. Like he's just like curious. Yeah, this is the energy to get into. Like knowing that there's different sides to you. Also, the different colored eyes just kind of feel like the earth and the spirit, right? Being in balance will help not just purify, but it's pretty much just feels like a balancing kind of act or balancing card. But by going through the difficulties, you can actually clear a lot of the stuff that you've been through in life, and actually purify and then, or like balance, let's say, to support and assist those around you, even if it's yourself, because that will still radiate into the collective. So kind of slightly different, but similar story to all of them. Compassion is hugely important in this lifetime because you understand like unconditional support, love, that kind of thing, by holding on to compassion. Yeah, where he's like got his hands pressed, it's like the heart space lit up. So yeah, interesting. Yeah, very cool. Very cool wolf. Almost looks like an Arctic fox, but I guess it's a wolf. I think it is a wolf. Either way, some kind of dog looking thing.